We're here with Ride Director Ragan Williams. In this informational segment, we're going to discuss some of the safety measures taken on Cycle North Carolina. Ragan, just real quick, year after year, two of the most common causes of accidents that we see come really from two main places, and that's out of Pacelines and encountering railroad tracks. Can you share a little bit of advice on how to properly handle each of those situations?
Yeah, so we know Pacelines are out there. It's pretty much unavoidable. We want you to try to avoid them as much as possible. Like you said, the number one issue with Pacelines is you got bike-on-bike contact, and then once one person goes down, the people behind you are going down too. So try to avoid Pacelines as much as possible. We want you to be in a single file line while you're riding because we want to make sure that you're leaving enough room for the other vehicles, but try to avoid Pacelines as much as possible. If you come up on railroad tracks, which we do the entire route, some of them are perpendicular, some of them are at an angle. So when you do that, the best thing to do is just get off your bike and walk across. I've seen many times where somebody wants to ride over it, and the railroad tracks, especially in the morning, have a little bit to do, and all it takes is just a little bit of a slip and you're down on the ground with railroad tracks. So our biggest advice for railroad tracks is just get off your bike and walk across. That 2 or 3 seconds that it takes you to walk across will save you a lot of headache or pain if you fall and hurt yourself on railroad tracks.
Ragan, what about one of the unique things about our ride is that we start in the mountains and in the coast. Obviously, to get from those 2 points, you have to come down the mountain. I imagine on day one there's probably quite a few areas of descent that would present itself to be dangerous. Do you have any tips on coming down the mountain on day one?
Yeah, so on day one, coming out of Spruce Pine, we've got about 8 or 10 miles. That's a gradual downhill. So you just don't want to ride your brakes all the way down. It's an easy way to heat up your rims and then cause mechanical failures. It could be a blowout, or you could run out of brakes for the rest of the trip. So you want to make sure that you feather your brakes, make sure that you're not just holding on to them. We've also got tips on our website. Tips for descending down hills. So if you want to go to www.ntsports.org and go to the links section, it's listed there underneath the FAQs.
Okay, Ragan, and in the case of emergency or an accident does happen, we do acknowledge that accidents do happen. How do we go about? Do we have medical staff present out on the route? How do we go about transport or handling the situation?
Yeah, so we have medical volunteers along the route. A lot of times they're out on the route when we need them the most. The medical volunteers are really for being at camp. Our number one procedure is if there's an accident on the route, we're going to call 911 and have a local ambulance or medical services come straight to the accident site. As far as SAG vehicles and medical transports, we cannot transport you to a medical facility for insurance purposes. So if the ambulance is there, you either have to accept or decline on whether or not you're going to take that ambulance.
Okay, and what if a fellow cyclist or rider just happens to come up on an accident? Would you encourage them to also call 911, call Star HP in case it's a motor accident? What steps do we take there?
Yeah, I mean, in any case, always call 911 if it's a serious accident. You can also dial Star HP on your cell phone, and that takes you straight to the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. That's always the first call you need to make. Make calling a SAG man the second call, but always call the emergency services first. Another
emergency situation that we tend to experience from time to time comes as a result of severe inclement weather. Ragan, can you explain to us the protocol or the general outline on the steps that we take during severe weather?
Yeah, as with any outdoor event, there's always going to be a chance for weather. So basically, you're out there on your bike, and if there's a storm approaching, you need to take immediate shelter if you feel your life is in danger. We're out there. We're not going to abandon you. We'll make sure our staff is out there to help you and help you seek shelter. A great way is if you're at the rest stop, we'll let our rest stop volunteers know, hey, there's a storm coming. Another way is we have our text messaging service, which you can sign up for. We're broadcasting a message out saying, hey, there's a storm coming, seek shelter. Another thing is just, if a storm pops up on you, just independently seek shelter. Just go find a covered porch or something like that, until the storm passes and you can get back out on the route.
Reagan, building on route safety quickly is in the situation where we encounter a busy intersection or places where there may need to be assistance with traffic control, can we expect any kind of help out there on the route?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we try to put our routes on as many back roads as possible to minimize the amount of traffic. There are sections where we have to put you into a busy intersection or a road to get through that section of the route. So we'll work with local law enforcement or local volunteers to help you get to those intersections or that section of the route safely without having any injury from motorists.